Hello and welcome back to the Bit Garage, and in this video we are going to find out two things. First of all, just how much we can get for this box of video games, and two, where's the best place to get the most bang for our buck. My YouTube page has been blowing up recently of tons of retro gamers selling all of their retro consoles and video games, knowing that there's a good return on them these days comparative to a few years ago, and people are receiving good money for all of their old video games that they've just been sitting on over the past years and haven't been playing. A huge shout out to Phoenix Resale for inspiring a huge part of this video, and basically this is what happened to him. Phoenix Resale found a private seller that was selling a trunk full of retro consoles that he knew he could get a good return for. So we went ahead and he bought all of the consoles for $920. And after looking up the value of all of these consoles on the Amazon Sellers app, he there and then knew he was about to make a lot of money in one day flipping consoles. So he took all the consoles into his local game store and he was able to sell all of the consoles for $1,200, which was a return of $280. Now he received the $1,200 in in-store credit, which then he went and bought more video games with that in-store credit that he knew he could then go and sell on his website and on his Amazon account for a total profit of $480 at the end of the day, which is really not bad if you turned this into a side gig for yourself. But he had known that if he actually went online and sold all of those consoles, he could have made a profit of $2,000 on the consoles. It is absolutely mind-blowing how much you can actually make on retro video games and consoles these days in just the value of them. Even just back in 2021, a graded unopened box of Super Mario sold at an auction online for $2 million. So because of all of this, and thanks to Phoenix Resale, it sparked an interest in me in that I wanted to see just how much my video game collection is worth with a total of 11 consoles and roughly 200 video games. So here's the plan. Step 1, go on to pricecharting.com and log all 11 consoles and find all 200 video games on there and log it within a collection on that website. And no, this is not a sponsored video. Nobody paid me to say any of this stuff. Pricecharting.com is just a good website that I found that I decided to use for this project. Step 2 will be to create an Excel file or Word document that I can then send out to both local and out-of-state video game shops, GameStops, pawn shops, wherever I think I could sell these video games to, and even maybe some online local vendors, just to see how much people are actually willing to pay for a video game collection like this, knowing that it has been taken care of over the years and that everything is in good operating working condition. Step 3 will be to go online to eBay, Facebook Marketplace, collection websites, and just see if everything that is selling for on those websites matches up with what PriceCharting.com thinks that everything is worth. Now, I've already gone through a lot of this, and I know that I have some hidden gems in there with video games, consoles, stuff that, according to PriceCharting.com, is worth hundreds of dollars. Step 1. Logging the video games. Now, I'm not going to bore you with every single game that I own and showing you every single console, but over a very lengthy process of entering every single game, every console, the condition of everything, the right version or model number of everything, and even just how many copies of everything that I own, like owning 3 Pokemon Yellows for the Game Boy Advance, I was able to log everything over about a 3-hour span. And luckily, my wife was nice enough to help me out until about midnight, and then we had to call it quits and try to wrap things up in the morning, and then that's when disaster struck. Texting Gage right now how I'm literally dying because I decided to stay up last night drinking, logging the video game collection with the wife until midnight. And I'm just trying to finish this project. At this point, we're supposed to podcast later. I don't know if it's going to happen. And we sure as didn't. Step 2. Testing the local market. Now, after logging every single video game, we had a great span of everything with video games that ranged from $1 all the way up to $180 and consoles that ranged anywhere from $10 to $150. Ultimately, we came down to a grand total of $4,285. So the only thing that was left to do at this point was to go ahead and ask our friendly chat GPT to come up with a friendly email that we can send out to all the local game shops and pawn shops to see if we can go ahead and start getting rough estimates from other vendors. In the meantime, we'll also go out into the local market and talk to some pawn shops ourselves and a GameStop that we have here in town just to see what kind of pricing that we can get.
Okay, so the trip to the pawn shop went well. They said that actually they prefer some of the older stuff, the Atari, the Super Nintendo, NES, Game Boy Advances. They feel that they can actually sell those retro consoles and video games better than the PS3s, the PS4s, the consoles and video games that people are constantly, selling to try and trade up to get a PS5. And then we just walked into GameStop, in which the gentleman there, very, very polite, very helpful. They didn't want to be recorded, which is fine, but they ultimately told me the complete opposite of what the pawn shop actually said, in that GameStop, they want nothing to do with retro stuff, mainly because they're just a bigger corporation, and the only thing that they wanted was newer stuff. It was only Xbox One, PS4, and higher. And on top of this, they said that for the Xbox Ones and the PS4s, they won't take all of it, and the things that they even do take, they said that at best, you will get $20 to $30 in-store credit. Which then on top of this, GameStop is more likely to sell video games at a higher price because of the fact that they are a larger corporation. So far on our list, GameStop, just as we had predicted, it gave us the worst offer by far, and the pawn shop has given us the second best offer. What the pawn shop wanted was for me to email them a list of everything that I have, to look on eBay, kind of compare it to what they think that they can sell versus market value and what I'm willing to give it up for, and we'll give them the same price that pricecharting.com basically had, and we'll see just how much they're willing to actually accept all this stuff for. So now it's time to, I guess, go online and just start comparing everything the best that we can.
Now, just to recap everything that we did, first, we got the original pricing from pricecharting.com, which came out to a total of $4,285.53. Now, pricecharting.com, I don't know where they got any of these values at, so this is a total that we're really kind of estimating and that we were just hoping that we could actually reach. Now, when it came to the worst offer that we found, it was easily hands down GameStop, simply because of the fact that they would only take things that were PS4 and Xbox One and higher, which we contained 0 items of. So we got a fat offer from GameStop for $0, and is something that we would not necessarily recommend if you're looking to sell some of your old retro video games. Coming into second to worst was actually surprisingly eBay. eBay being one of the sites that we actually thought that we would have gotten a better value out of in being able to auction things and start them out at a higher price, we were actually only able to get $1,030 in total, primarily because a lot of the video games and consoles and everything that sells on eBay is generally a bundled deal. So all we could really do and look at was looking to sell all of our Xbox 360 games sold together for a bundled price of $50. Coming in second place for the best offer that we could find was actually the pawn shops. The pawn shops, surprisingly enough, were willing to almost take anything that we had even after sending out this list, and there were even some pawn shops that had responded back to our email stating that they could really take anything between 25 to almost 50% of market value, depending on the item and the condition of it and all that kind of stuff, which is actually pretty good. For the sake of our Excel file, in trying to make sure that we were as accurate as possible, we wouldn't really know how much they would actually take without actually visiting a lot of the pawn shops, so we assumed that they wouldn't take maybe the Atari, a few other things. We decided to put in in the pricing for only 25% of the market value that PriceCharting.com gave us, which spit out a total for the pawn shops of $1,071.38. Now, this really isn't too far off of what eBay had to offer, but in reality, we feel that maybe if we went to a couple different pawn shops, we probably could convince some of them to actually give us that 50% range rather than the 25% range, knowing that we're selling everything in a good bundled deal. They could even market it that way for themselves. Coming in at what we're going to call kind of a 1.5 spot is PriceCharting.com itself. It's actually a feature that the website actually has, in that you can click a button to say that I want to sell all of my video games, and you can actually buy and sell video games right there on PriceCharting.com. So there is the offset chance that the market value price that they gave on the website of $4,285, you might actually be able to sell all of your retro video games and consoles for that exact price, which is really good compared to the eBays in pawn shops of the world. Now, before we go over to the final results of the bestseller, we went ahead and we actually left out Facebook Marketplace because it was too difficult to actually get a good reading on a lot of the pricing of everything, and everyone was buying things at different rates with different bundle deals, and it honestly just wasn't the best place to actually get a good pulse on what these video games are worth and how much you could actually get out of it. So coming in first place was Amazon. Simply because we personally feel that it's because of the convenience that so many people use Amazon to buy all of their stuff these days, and Amazon could take anything that they have in their warehouses and get it to your home within 2 days. There was not one video game that we searched on our list on Amazon that we couldn't find. At the very end, Amazon was able to give us a total value after taxes and everything else. We came to a grand total for Amazon of $6,036 that we could potentially make on Amazon. Overall, for the end results, we feel that we would probably do a good mixture of all of this stuff, and that maybe some of the lower priced items we wouldn't necessarily sell on Amazon, knowing that we're only going to get maybe $10 for it, and those are better off in a pawn shop anyways. When it comes to some of the higher priced items and things that people are actually valuing a lot these days, we would sell the Game Boy Advances, Nintendo 64 games and stuff like that on Amazon that we were actually able to get a staggering couple $100s for. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found that this video was helpful or entertaining to you, and otherwise we will see you guys in the next episode.